Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Michelle Fondin author vlog. This is vlog number 34. Let's talk about free will this week. I'm the author of 12 published books, if you are new to this channel, including 2 of my featured books for today. The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle. This is my first published book. And my latest published book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga from Modern Times, a practical guide to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You can find all of my published books on Amazon and 10 of my published books on Ingram Spark. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I want to thank you so much for subscribing, hitting a like, putting a comment, sharing this video with others. It really helps me promote this channel a little better. I am here, as usual, with my pals Gudetama and Grogu. Here I have my writer's tumbler with my Ticino Dandelion Caramel Nut Tea. I am currently in the home stretch of writing my upcoming books, Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love, and the companion workbook. Those will be released on May 20th of 2026. Hey, I am so happy to be back with you all. I was away in Florida for a week at Walt Disney World and I ran the Princess Half Marathon. And it was so much fun, so fatiguing though, really tired that entire week. Even as I came back here, I'm still pretty jet lagged. I came back on Thursday night. I'm recording this on Monday, March 9th. So a few days, we had the time change. That should have helped me. I'm still a little messed up. So forgive me if I'm not as energetic as usual. Another quick announcement before we begin, because I feel that for so many of you out there, this is a really important time. And this particular offering that I'm offering, the Love and Alignment Clarity 90-minute sessions, readings, tarot readings, one-on-one with you, where we will help you uncover your purest desires in love, romance, partnership, to help uncover the blocks that may be hindering you, holding you back, and then to work with your vibration to elevate it so that you can be aligned to receive, not to go out there and do 1,000 things, but to receive the love that you truly, truly desire. I'm doing this for the Spring Equinox. I have about 20 spots left. You can book all the way through April 30th of 2026, so you can book ahead of time. But this is something incredible that I have never done before. It's sort of like doing 3 different things in one reading, and I am so excited to be doing this for the Spring Equinox. There's a lot of energy shifts. If you did not yet view my video that I posted about 10 days ago, I'm going to post that right here. The link to that, you can view it after this video. So the links are all below if you'd like to book with me. So free will has been on my mind just for like months now, and I've been wanting to talk about it with you guys, but I wasn't quite sure how to address it. Now I feel it's ripe, it's ready, it's time. And later this week, I'm going to post a video with twin flames and free will and how they intersect, how they interact. I've been in the spiritual business since about 2008. It's been quite some time that I've been teaching. So when I say spiritual business, I owned a yoga studio since 2008 to 2018, where I taught yoga, meditation, Ayurvedic lifestyle. I did life coaching, primarily for mind, body, spirit, health. So I've been in the spiritual business for a really, really long time. And one thing that I've noticed, and I noticed this in myself early on, probably back as far as 2003 to 2005, when I was reading Deepak Chopra's book, The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire, which really impacted my world, really. I had read his book, Perfect Health, in 1999 to 2000. I read The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And then the spontaneous fulfillment of desire was a game changer for me, because one of the things that I really wanted to know was, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What did my soul sign up to do here? And since I've been involved in the spiritual world as far as being a teacher since 2008, is that I find a lot of spiritual seekers that are caught up in, this is what I must do. This is what I have to do. This is what my soul is telling me to do. And they find themselves often trapped in this, where they're not quite sure how to make happen what they feel is their soul's mission. And so they feel very stuck. They feel very trapped. They feel as if they're letting themselves down or letting the world down. And I'm here to tell you, we're going to talk about free will on a couple of levels here. And my basis for knowledge is just that which I have learned, okay? So I'm not saying this is the gospel truth. I'm just riffing with you guys here based on my teachings, the books I've written, and the clients that I've interacted with through readings and coaching. It is my pure understanding that we have free will to do whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want at any given time in this life. And I'm pretty sure in any life, you have free will. You have the choice to do or to not do anything at any time with anybody. And that is a gift that was given to you when you incarnated here. It's not as if God, source, spirit, universal consciousness forced you into this lifetime and then forced you to be doing certain things. That was not the case at all. I was raised Catholic and then non-denominational Christian, and even God gives you free will to even have a relationship with him or them or her or whatever you want to call God. So God gave you free will so that you could do whatever you want with it. I really like what Abraham Hicks says about free will. Abraham Hicks says, you are so free that you could choose bondage. You are so free that you could choose bondage. And it's something that I've come to learn and come really to understand. So you have free will. Yes, when your soul came here in this lifetime, your soul, before it incarnated into your physical body, decided on a certain number of things that your soul would like to accomplish. Tasks, missions, gifts, talents to give to the world. You might have agreed to meet with certain other souls, people, and bump into them, have relationships with them, help them on their soul's mission, their spiritual path. So yes, we are in agreement that before you came here, your soul had some agenda. Your soul had some missions, tasks, purposes, but none of it is written in stone. And the reason that none of it is written in stone is because you have free will. You have freedom. You are not in bondage. You are not stuck. You are not having to be obedient to some external source that is somehow pulling the puppet strings. Because I really feel, after talking to so many spiritual seekers, that they really believe that they're on the end of some puppet master's strings and that they have to accomplish this or that. They have to be in this or that relationship. They have to do this. That is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth. You have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to determine how your life will be in any given moment. And I hope that is liberating for you. I hope that is a sense of liberation, But it is also a sense of humongous responsibility to yourself, none other than yourself. It's a huge responsibility because if you have free will to decide what you want to do at any given moment in your life, at any given time, then it's your responsibility to decide to do or to not do anything, really, even to breathe, even to eat, or get adequate sleep, or make money or not make money, or have a job or not have a job, or have this relationship or not have this relationship. So you have total free run of this life, total free will. Nobody is pulling the strings. Nobody has you on the end of a puppet stick. You are totally free to decide what you want at any given moment. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Everyone else around you also has total free will desire to do whatever they want to do at any given time. And that is the beauty of life. Even if you live in a dictatorship, for example, you still have free will. Your God-given free will, your source-given free will is still present. So we all have it, every single one of us, and none of us are imprisoned to a soul's agenda. Okay, I just want you to grasp that, understand that. You are not imprisoned to your soul's agenda. That said, let me just say something about that real quick, because I do teach about dharma, your virtuous path, your righteous path, your life purpose. I do teach about that, especially in this book, my very first book, The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, and the companion workbook, which has an entire chapter on dharma. I teach about that. But what that really is helping you become more aligned with what your soul decided to do here. And then you have the choice to do or to not do. You have a perfect choice to do or not do. So will you meet people along your path who will encourage you to move toward your soul's mission? Certainly. Of course you will. Will you meet certain circumstances, situations, and events that might help you get back on the path that your soul chose? Yes, absolutely. I've seen this happen in my life so many times, but you still have the choice. You can still choose. Just know this. It is so incredibly liberating to understand this first for yourself, and then to understand it for everyone else on the planet. Every single person has their own sense of free will choice. So you're not in bondage. You are not a fixed point. You are not a fated outcome. Okay? Not even God, spirit, source can determine exactly what you will choose. And you might be wondering also, well, where does that leave me if I don't fulfill my soul's mission? Where does that leave me? I really believe that since this is not your first rodeo in lifetimes, right? Incarnating, it probably will not be your last one either. So you can reevaluate that when you return to non-physical. So when you shed this mortal coil, you can determine whether or not you've done enough to get your soul on the path that you agreed to or not. And then you get to do it all over again if you decided, hey, I still haven't gotten there and what I intended to do when I came here, but that's okay. I can try again. So that is the first thing that I would really like to hit home here, because talking to so many of you, again, through videos, through coaching, through tarot readings, I really find that a lot of spiritual seekers feel trapped. They're like, I have to do this. I have to go out and awaken 100,000 souls, right? I have to go out and help people understand that they are star seeds, or that they are this, or that they are that. And it's like, you don't have to do anything. Okay, so that's my first point. My second point really comes to being here on Earth. Okay, so follow me here. This has to do with you, but it has to do with everybody else on the planet. Okay, so the second point is about everybody else living here on planet Earth. So I've already mentioned that everyone else living here on planet Earth also has free will. They don't have to do or not do anything that they don't want to do. And they can do the things that they want to do. Full reins, full free choices. There's a lot of ideologies out there. And I'd like to help you alleviate some of the tension that you might be feeling on the day-to-day. I know there's a lot of tension in the world, and there has always been. If you are under the impression that we are living in unique times, meaning that in the history of humanity that there was never a time as contentious or painful or expensive or conflictual as this time, you might want to go back a few thousand years. So humanity and life on Earth has always more or less been contentious and conflictual, filled with turmoil and danger and uncertainty. But we have something called the free flow of information now. We have the instantaneity of information now, which makes it seem worse than it's ever been, right? So it's that split second of information that comes to us on all devices. And I've spoken about this before. No need to repeat it, but I have spoken about it before, that we just have this instantaneous information or misinformation, right? Because anybody can post anything at any time that's continually coming into our devices. So it really does seem that things are really bad and things are worse than they've ever been and life is harder than it's ever been. I don't know about you, but I really am happy to live in times where there is electricity and indoor plumbing and motor vehicles. Just 100 years ago, give or take some change, we didn't have any of that. So I'm really happy to be living in these times where we have those modern amenities. But I diverge a little bit. There are these ideologies out there. And these ideologies are like, we are living in horrible times because there's poverty. We are living in horrible times because there's war. We're living in horrible times because the economics are not great. We're living in horrible times because the politics of this country or this country are not great. We're living in horrible times because people are either too religious or not religious at all, right? We live in horrible times because there's so much human suffering. And when we really think about it from a free will perspective, and that's the only perspective I'm taking on this topic, on this video. Okay, so I want you to understand that. We're talking about free will. We're not talking about anything else. I mention those topics just to give you a clear view of worldly matters that might be of concern to anybody at any time, since we're speaking about life on Earth as it pertains to free will and everybody else around you, every other person, every other human being around you, and even animals have free will, right? When we look at that, there might be these ideologies that are like, well, if everything was equal, we took all the money in the world, for example, and we distributed it evenly to every single person on the planet, then we would eradicate poverty. We would eradicate joblessness. We would eradicate suffering. We would eradicate hunger or thirst. And I had this conversation pretty recently with one of my sons, and I was like, but you can't take away people's free will. And this is also something I learned when I was dealing with an alcoholic loved one, and I was really trying to control all of his actions, right? I was really trying to help him in the best way I thought possible to help him to see the error of his ways, or to help him to heal and help his brain to heal so that he could then see the error of his ways. And it really came to me maybe through the 12-step program, but it came to me that like everybody has free will. So we can try to set up the perfect conditions on Earth. Let's just say perfect conditions on Earth. Everything is utopia. Everything is perfect. There's no hunger, there's no thirst, there's no sickness, there's no money problems. Perfect utopia. But you still have free will. We didn't eliminate, in this perfect utopia, we did not eliminate free will. Okay, let's just suppose it was that. So even if we have this perfect utopia where there's a perfect amount of money coming to everybody's bank accounts every month, and that there's a perfect amount of food distributed to everyone every month, and there's a perfect amount of water and shelter given to anybody in order to have this perfect utopia so that everything is equal, everything is fair, everything is perfect, we still could not eliminate people's free will. So what does that mean? Let's take it back to the addiction piece. If my ex-boyfriend, my alcoholic loved one, if he decided that, okay, there is this perfect utopia and I still have, food that's given to me, money that's given to me, he could still choose through his own pain, his suffering, his past, he could still choose to drink alcohol every day and never work a day in his life. He could still choose that, right? Let's suppose somebody has a gambling problem and they decide, well, I'm going to take this perfect utopia money I get every month and I'm just going to gamble it away. And they might lose their perfect utopia home, their perfect utopia food, their perfect utopia water, right? Because they make a decision to do something else. Does that make sense? Let's say in this perfect utopia world, everyone has a task, a job to complete. And then someone decides, I don't want to do this job or task. I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't feel like it. And then they don't. And then it upsets the entire system, right? So even if everything were equal, even if everything were perfect, even if everything was non-contentious, people could still choose contention. Even if there was non-conflict, people could still choose conflict. So it doesn't work that way. A lot of times we have these ideals that if everything could be equal and perfect and fair and everybody had the same of everything, then it still wouldn't work because everyone has free will choice to do what they want when they want. And what if we were to take away free will, right? If we were to take away free will, we would all be imprisoned, okay? If we took away free will, we would all be imprisoned because free will is the only thing giving us our freedom of choice to do anything, anytime, anywhere, with any part of our lives. And that is the beauty of life. And I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize is that free will is such a beautiful gift. And as Abraham Hicks said, and I will repeat it again in this video, we are so free that we could choose bondage, right? We are so incredibly free. We can choose anything we want, anything at any time. A lot of people talk about this man called Viktor Frankl. Now, I never read his book, but he survived a Nazi concentration camp back in World War II. And he was a psychologist, and a Jewish psychologist who had been in the Nazi concentration camps, and he survived. So he studied people in those concentration camps. And one of the things that he studied was how people survived the concentration camp, which some people would say those are probably the worst of the worst situations you could possibly be in, and how people did not survive and the why. Why didn't they survive? And what he had surmised was that people who had a goal, a mission, a purpose, who chose to see the beauty in life, survived. And those that didn't, who thought we are all doomed, this is horrible, this is terrible, this should never have happened, those people perished. And he survived, obviously, and wrote a book about it. And that is what free will is about, right? Even when you are in the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst circumstances, you can still choose. You still have free will choice. And even when you're in the best of the best of the best circumstances, you still have the freedom to choose. And that's why so many people, for example, who win the lottery, who suddenly get really rich, they often find themselves in abject poverty a couple of years later because their free will choices are not based in anything real solid. They kind of feel like, oh, I won this money out of good luck, right? They feel like it's more fate. It was good luck. And so then they start spending all their money on extravagant things and they find themselves with nothing. And they say, oh, that must be because of bad luck, right? So just food for thought. If you have been really worried, concerned on the spiritual path, on what do I have to do? What must I do? What is my life purpose? What is my soul's purpose? What do I have to do in this life? I would just say, cool your jets a little bit. Just settle down, cool your jets. Take it easy on yourself and just know that you can choose. And it's no big deal that if you miss your soul's purpose this lifetime, you'll probably want to repeat it next lifetime. But that as you're making choices and you feel free to make your choices, then usually you're going to start making those choices which feel better to you. And when you start to make the choices that feel better to you, then you will start to become more aligned with your soul. And really, what is this life all about, first and foremost? Your life is all about recognizing your infinite goodness. Your life is about realizing your connection to your higher spiritual self, spirit, source, that you are not limited to this physical body, that you are not limited to this lifetime, that you are not limited in what you can be or achieve. So your primary life mission is to reconnect with your soul, which I write about in so many of my books. So I hope this was inspirational for you for this week. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thanks for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for your support for this channel. You can purchase one of my 12 published books. You can book a reading with me, and I will see you real soon on this channel.